to the Geekcast. This is Retro Ray again. This time we got an artist that's working on a story that's going to be coming out in December. But if you watch Into the Spider Verse, I'm pretty sure you like Spider-Gwen. He's going to be working on this comic. It's going to be 4 issues. He's going to be working with Melissa Flores, and they're going to be bringing this to life for us. Um, let's get Balam in the room. How's it going,
Hello
Chief?
there. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing?
Pretty cool, sir. I'm glad that you took the time to start. And I know you're busy. You're on your art table. You're working on actually a Spider-Gwen piece. You said. Um, so when you were growing up as a kid, what age did you fall in love with drawing either art or comics? What was it that you actually drew you into it?
Well, first of all, thank you for those out there listening. Thank you for having me, Retro Ray. Pretty much, maybe you have heard this before with other artists, that it's just something somewhat of a call because I cannot recall when I started, but I do remember um, looking at cartoons, looking at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, classic cartoons, and just waiting for the moment to draw. I have this. My mom was a teacher of a junior school, so whenever I used to accompany her to her work, she used to give me a bunch of paper and pencils, and I would be drawing just silently. She would be giving classes, and I would be drawing from I don't know, like 9 a.m. until school was over by 1 or 2 p.m.
Wow.
So she will be really amazed at that because a lot of kids are pretty intense. They tend to run and do
Yeah.
all these things and lose attention. But I will be some kind of like disassociated from what was happening and just keep on drawing monsters and trucks and planes and UFOs and a lot of weird stuff came into. I was looking into samurai pizza cats. So yeah, a bunch of characters.
Nice. So then I guess that slowly got you into it. And when you were, I guess, did you take arts classes in like high school, middle school?
Yeah, that was a bit of a trouble for me. Both my parents are teachers, are retired now, but they were both teachers. So in my country, in Mexico, I'm from Mexico City.
Nice.
Well, I live here, I reside here, but no, I am not. I wasn't born here. I was born in a little town close to Mexico City, a very rural area. So the expectations of my parents was that I was to follow their job. I was to take on the family job. So sort of
Yeah.
say, so as a union privilege, they are to inherit their tenures to their sons or
Yeah.
daughters. But I rejected everything. I talked to my father and my mother, and we ended up giving the hours, the job, the working hours to a cousin who already was a teenager and had an upcoming baby with a girlfriend. So he was in a rush to get a job, and we managed to pull him into the job, to put him on my parents name, and I stood aside from that. So that was a big early choice for me,
Wow.
and I did study arts. I went to public college on my state, where I did a bachelor's in visual arts, and then I studied and finished a master's degree regarding editorial design. So
Wow.
all at public school.
Nice. So with you going to school and all that, what got you into comics? Was that just something, did you read comics as well, or you just,
Yeah, but it was a long time thing for me. As a lot of people, there's this moment where you connect with a story or some characters. For me, it was those early flip books where you can read. You used to read a story from one side, which in my case was a Fantastic Four story, and then you flip the book, and on the other side it was an Alpha Flight story.
oh, nice.
So yeah, the comics weren't regular, and they weren't delivered like formally in Mexico, but somewhat, I don't know, sometime you step into they used to sell them on newspaper stands,
Oh,
along with gossip magazines and curious things that you can find one, maybe two books, rarely, so scarcely. So yeah, I got to pick some of them, and I eventually fell in love into the stories, the characters, and as you would know, you get engaged into the magic of a story that no one can ever comprehend unless you tell them your experiences. Say it's something of an intimate moment when you feel that it's something that calls to you.
yeah, that is true. I mean, so when you got into it, what was the first call you got in to work on an IP for? Was it Marvel or?
No, no. I only know one artist whose first job was with Marvel. So no, I am not that guy. I'm a regular fellow who had to build my career onto it.
Okay.
I'm talking about 15 years ago at least.
Oh wow.
So I have been trying everything from independent comics to being slaved for $1 to doing work, even exchanging drawings when I was a teenager at bars for beers. So yeah,
Oh dang.
I've done a lot of things in my career. I've enjoyed a lot of my artistic career. But when I had a screen printing studio, and I was working for a tattoo studio printing their T-shirts and another artist. So I was doing that on the side and building my drawing career parallel to those activities after my education. So I started working for Humanoids, which is a French, really renowned editorial or publishing house. It was founded by Moebius, a John Jerome Moebius, a legendary comic book artist. So it was a huge deal for me professionally. I started even earlier than that. I was coloring for Delcourt, which is another French-based. It's the second biggest publishing house there, and I was working as a colorist. After that, after Humanoids, I started working for a London-based publishing house called Titan Comics. Titan.
Oh nice. I
Uh,
like them.
yeah, I did a graphic novel written by Victoria Schwab called Extraordinary, and after that, I was assigned to do Blade Runner Black Lotus, a miniseries. At the same time, I got reached by a bunch of editorials in North America. I had done, as a lot of artists, my portfolio reviews with Ricky Porden and Sylvie Cebulski and other editors. I had already done like 3 or 4 portfolio reviews with no luck on my end.
Oh dang.
Even though a lot of great advices to take care of. Because one thing is like drawing pinups and sort of cover artwork, and another thing is doing storytelling, which different terrains, different areas. So you have to have an expertise quite different on both of those areas. So I got called from Marvel through my agency, through the agency I work for, and I was reached to do a Mexican American character called Reptile. Um, so I had on my desk the task to do 2 comic books running at the same time with both deadlines. So I was doing above all 42 pages per month, more or
Whoa.
less. So it was a pretty big deal for me. I got burnt out, and really tired. I got even sick
Oh dang.
to maintain that pace of work during a year and a half. So eventually, my back like charged me. So I had to step back from doing the usual 2 books, and ended up staying with Marvel. I am not an exclusive artist yet, but I am a freelancer, a proud freelancer, and I'm running on my 3rd year with them.
Nice. If you guys don't know, he does phenomenal commission artwork. I mean,
Thank you.
characters that you can see. I'm gonna put some of this stuff on the screen. Uh, I really love this piece that you did, um, Ahsoka. When we're talking about Ahsoka,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did this piece. I mean, if you see the details, he doesn't just do pencil. He does the outline with pencil and ink, but he also does his coloring with. Is it watercolor or what do you use?
It's a mixed media of watercolors and colored pencils, and those Posca markers to do the whites and the small details. So yeah, it's just like two or three type of media.
Nice, yeah. I mean, it's beautiful, man. I mean, like this, if you hadn't seen him in a convention, you definitely want to get a piece, a commission piece. That's something that I would do when I go to conventions. I mean, it's beautiful. I like that there's another artist who does with the watercolor and paint too as well. That's Do you prefer to do that type of work or do you do a mixture between digital and pencil?
Well, at the time, I'm doing my layouts on the iPad, then printing them and working over those loosened sketches. Because there's a process that you have to do with publishing houses, which is to translate
Nice.
the um the script, the written script, and translate it into break it up into layouts which are presented to editors. They often give you comments and points to address to fix. And as soon as you are finished with those tweaks and adjustments, you are approved to go to the final pages. Which, for example, I'm going to show you here a the size of the pages we worked on, which is
Nice. See, I love that.
11, 11 by 17 inches. Here in Mexico is 28 by 43 centimeters. So yeah, it's pretty much like the printed layouts, and then the final pencils worked over those blue lines, which are just quick sketches, and the final pencils is where I fix a lot of things, well, where I polish and prepare the pages.
Nice. Yeah, see, I'm one of those artists that will come to an artist's table and look for artwork like that because I like to add that to my collection because it's stuff that I like to see the raw piece of art before the colors get added and the changes get done. It just looks beautiful in black and white, and then you got the outline of the blue, because that's what you normally, if you guys as artists don't know, they normally start off with the blue to start, and then they'll go
Yeah,
over it with either the pencil, and then they'll go over it with the black ink, and that's to me is what I like looking at. And don't get I love the finished pieces too, but it's just a combination of the two that they use. And then now with the whole digital part of it is now they can just scan that part into the computer once they've already done the things and then change it in the computer and they can go back if they mess up and they can erase it. And I mean it's so crazy how things have changed from back in the day where comic wise you would do it on 11 by 17 and then you would actually have to mail it back in the day, of course, either Los Angeles or New York, and now it's just computers back and forth. It's so crazy.
yeah. It. I was talking to a dear friend here in Mexico, artist Paco Medina, who is in charge right now to work on Spider-Boy series. So we were talking about in the past, or not in the past. I mean, just recently in the 90s, um, there was some sort of engagement through art where you could see the characters and you could see the background and you could read the comics in a certain way. And nowadays, what computers have done, take the example of Pepe Larraz, which is a hot artist right now, a Spanish full-time Marvel artist, who has demonstrated how the space can grow inside the page. If you could compare a 90s comic book page layout design and then an actual contemporary page, you would see the space has grown immensely, where you can see an asteroid, the planets, and a vast wasteland with bunch of characters and an army. Where in the 90s it was that as well, but it was done in a different way due to the capabilities to draw on paper. So it has evolved. It's a new type of language which has been enriched, and I believe there's like in all media in arts, for example, there was a time where people thought painting was over when photography arrived into the world, because there wasn't going to be job for artists to make, for example, a portrait of a family when you can take a picture and that's it. But eventually the both media start to do crossovers. So there's photographers that if you look to their work, it's actually like a painting. They are painting with light. Saying it honestly, a picture of the waves of the sea that tends to be like clouds and something surreal, it has a narrative to it, so it's dreamlike. It's a painting. And the other way, there's paintings that are utterly obsessed with doing that hyper realism, and you cannot distinguish between that and a fine art print of a picture, because it's done the same way, it's constructed the same way. So painting hasn't died, and I think it's the same thing for comics. Both languages are gonna during time they are going to speak forward, and then maybe something new will come out.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, like perfect example. I have a piece of yours right here, and this one is like you said. You have the pages here, you have the background, the buildings, then you've got in the bedroom. I mean, see, like this. So before I start reading, I like the splash pages, but before I get to the part where I start reading, for me, when I see I'm reading a comic, I take in the art first, and then I go back and I go read. But that's how I read my comics. But I mean, the detail, like stuff like that, because I like to look in the room. Because sometimes some artists will put little Easter eggs in there, like stuff that they like
Yeah,
that's actually in their room, or you know what I mean. And that's what I really really love about that. Like, and then you also got okay. Stepping back a minute,
yeah.
you're working on two iconic characters. You worked on one prior, and
Mhm.
then now you're going into Spider-Gwen, which are two, my opinion, they're going to be big characters in the Marvel industry
Yeah,
in the future.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
you know, you got to work on Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. How was that? I mean, now she's going to be huge, especially if she leads the Young Avengers
Hmm.
in the DC. I mean, in the DC in the Disney live action. How was it drawing that a character that was new to the world? How was it getting to work on something like that?
I was assigned to draw a new suit for her, which is the one you're seeing in on the comic book. She had an early suit where she had some holes on her hips, and then I redesigned into a new tactical suit. And at the same time, the TV series was airing, so I was like a child. Honestly,
Damn.
I was taken away into this amazement of being part of something greater, which that's about comics, right? That's the source of imagination. So I do not know about the decisions of editorial matters, but I can tell you one anecdote, if you allow me.
Yes, sir.
When I finished Reptile, I was asked by my editor which character would I like to draw next.
Wow.
I do not know if this is common. I suspect it is not. So my answer was as follows: whichever character you put on my desk, I would be so grateful that I would devote all my time and all my dedication onto it. I would put
Wow.
1,000% of myself onto it, and I believe I have kept my promise. I didn't lie, and I'm doing all what I have, all what I got to honor those comic book masters that also gave their lives to create fantastic characters. So yeah, it's a big deal, and I'm doing and trying my best to honor this entrustment of these characters.
Nice. And that's one thing. So as you getting into the industry, and I did notice like when you do on your Instagram, I see that you like taking pictures with other artists as well.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
so most artists, and I ask this from all my artists people, who who do you look up to in the comic book industry that kind of is kind of like that inspires you? That
Right. Right. As of right now, I'm pretty early in the game to look with perspective, that overall perspective that you get with getting more mature into an industry. Say you have a bookstore, right? If 10 years pass, you will be looking at things very differently. 20 years into the game, uh, so yeah, I don't know a lot of artists. I know a few. I'm often. Very fond of my friend Paco Medina and Humberto Ramos's work,
oh
which
yes,
I
love
which I
Humberto.
really I really admire. I don't think Humberto often says his most common line in the U.S., but here in Mexico he often says to how does it young artists a advice which goes as um, por los sueños se suspira, por las metas se trabaja. Something like for dreams you I don't know how to translate this, but if you're like dreaming of something, don't stay into the dream and act into it to make it a reality. Don't try to think it as something that is to come to your door and expect that you're gonna be requested to do it, but rather build yourself onto the challenge. And it's an amazing advice. Uh,
It is.
I I've seen a lot of young artists eager to do Marvel comic books, but I would really say, have you considered how your life is going to change? Are you up to abandon, for example, your partying or your social life?
No.
You're gonna change your partner, your lover, your relationships are going to change as well. So are you up to the task to deliver? So yeah, it's a profound question. It's a life-changing question, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, just like, great power comes great responsibility.
For
That's,
sure.
I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, because like you said, you're going to have deadlines you got to meet. You're going to have to go back and fix things that the editor wants changed, like take this out or put this back in. Or so, yeah, I can imagine what you guys have. I mean, y'all got deadlines as well, like especially if it's a once a month book or if it's twice a month book. That that kind of can get to you too as well.
The time frame to make a comic book is 5 weeks, which one week, for example, talking about 10 days or 7 days, is to work on the layouts, which is breaking down the page into sketches. And then after the revision from the editors and you get approved, then you start working on your pages on your pages, which are to be one page daily if you have 20 days remaining, right?
Yeah.
To get to your deadline. So you can take a day. I don't believe that you are enslaved with a chain onto your chair, but it is up to your responsibility to do your best and to follow the time that has been given to you. So yeah, you can do it, but it's you have to have discipline to get to your deadlines and especially not lose your head with all the things that are developing during those 20 days, because you're going to have changes maybe to final pages or surprises like, hey, we think this is going to be better, can you change this? And you're already working on a page um, like page 10, and you have to go back to page 5 and finish to do something really quick to erase and clean and send to the ink. So there's a lot of things happening during those 30, 35, 30 days.
Wow. Now, did you? The question I want to ask now about the whole. We're going to go into the Spidey Gwen
Yeah.
story. So, did you watch Into the Spider Verse before you got the call, or
For
after?
sure. No, no. I looked at as everyone else, not the first show of the movie, but we waited like a week with my wife, and then we saw it. And oddly enough, there's been a lot of synchronicities and coincidences to my the characters I have been assigned. So I was really looking to do something of from the Spider-Man universe, from Spider-Verse, and I was called from I had a mail from Nick Lowe, which is the editor in charge of all the Spider-Man universe,
Wow.
to work on those 10 pages from Araña, which is a Puerto Rican character. And after that, I was assigned to this series. So I never know how the series are like assigned into artists, but I believe they see some kind of a trait, some kind of capabilities and abilities that resonate with the character. So on my end, for example, I would rather prefer to characterize or depict the following elements, the concept. For example, tenderness or innocence, youthfulness. And that would be the things I'm mostly interested to draw. I would avoid, for example, a massacre or a carnage
Oh, okay, I got you.
I
Yeah.
I am not really fond into that. So maybe these characters like tend to have a resonance with those type of concepts. So yeah, if I could describe my work into three pursue or at least one pursuit, I would really go with innocence.
Nice. No, I definitely agree with you. I mean, Spidey Gwen, I pretty much I saw her the first time was when Carlo Barberi was doing the artwork for Deadpool, Hawkeye and Deadpool. And
Yeah,
she was in one page at the very, very back. It was a cosplayer that was dressed like her. And then a little bit after that's when she gets her first, series with that costume. And that character caught my eye in the back. And I was like, man, I like that costume.
yeah.
But now going back now to the future now, or coming back to the future, uh, it's kind of weird that in the movie, I think this last movie, a lot of people who didn't know who she was, for
Really,
the yeah, because there's a lot of people who watch movies but they're not comic book fans. So I
right.
think they're gonna fall in love with these new characters that they're introducing, and you're getting to work with a phenomenal writer. I mean, the writers I like who do like Dan Slott. Oh my god, he is on my bucket list of writers to interview. He's a Doctor Who fan. He's been writing Spider Man, and then he wrote for She Hulk. But Melissa Flores has done some phenomenal writing for Power Rangers. I mean, we got to interview her as well to
Oh,
talk about
really? That's
yeah
nice.
to talk about the Power Ranger comic that she was working on and working in Saban and stuff. But I look forward to seeing what you two guys bring. I mean, guys, if you don't know, it's coming this December, and Melissa's going to be writing. They've got variant covers as well. It's going to be 4 issues, and this is the cover, one of the covers. But it's going to be an awesome book that I'm looking forward to reading. Um, and the one thing I've got to ask, like, so when you get the pages from the writer,
Yeah.
do you kind of have to sit back and take it in like a because they say they read like scripts, they kind of read like movie scripts. It says breaks it down. How do you know where to fill in the additional things? Is it just your imagination?
Okay, each character has a tone to it, and I
Okay.
believe each writer hooks into the tone and then adds its own personality into the game. So, for example, with Spider-Man characters, they are youthful oriented in a sense because I believe they are heroes for younger audiences
Yeah.
instead of a Punisher or a Ghost Rider. So they have to balance these elements of I don't know how to describe it. There's a bright, there's a shine into the characters. They illuminate the room. So yeah, they are, I believe, quite difficult to depict, but really fun. For example, when I receive a script, I often do a general read, and I would leave, for example, the last 5 pages because I'm a fan too. So I have to reserve something that I'm gonna be surprised as well because as I'm doing it, I'm living it and I'm feeling it.
Right.
So the scripts are built in a sense which they do have a formality. There's two types of scripts. I do not know how to describe them in English, but there's one which is a technical script, for example, in movies, and they would add the camera movements or camera angle shots, if it's day or night,
Okay.
if if there's a transitional event. So they would add these technical elements and you would have to follow them as they are written. And then there's a literary script where the person, for example, expresses in a note their feelings and thoughts of what this scene reminds, for example, to the writer. You know what, this thing, let's go for this movie, let's go for Back to the
Oh,
Future thing,
nice. Yeah, yeah,
let's go
yeah.
for a Back to the Future gig. I'm really loving this thing, and they would add these comments that are quite refreshing and vivid into the story. It's like someone telling you a comic book, relating a comic book, and then adding this small step that it's like the dressing, the sauce to the food.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Each writer has personality into it, and often I would really think that good writers, for example, know the balance between their ideas, the capabilities of the writer, the capabilities of the artist, and the overall tone of what you are engaging, the type of character you are engaging, because they do have like an essence, like a maybe this word that I do not like, that it's canon. I don't like it, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
they present themselves in a sense, in a sort way that are particular to the character.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. I mean, like perfect example, the original, of course, Spider-Gwen, she wears like ballerina shoes, and then in the movie they converted her to wearing Converse, which is cool. I like that. I mean, because it's kind of a teenager, what a teenager would wear, and
Yeah,
so it kind of, I get what you're saying, and I like that, and that's the thing about, I like to hear stories from artists because it's like the people who have book clubs. They all read the same book, but they all interpret it differently, and they take in different parts that other people didn't see or they overlooked. And
yeah,
when you talk in that book group or amongst each other, they other people will be like, "Oh man, how did I miss that?" That's what I like.
yeah,
That's what I like about that stuff.
yeah,
And you guys, when you add your little things, and like we were talking about earlier, where like an artist will be drawing it and stuff, and he's looking in his room and he sees something and he just adds it in the background, or something little. It's nothing major, but it's something to, where the artist leaves his mark, I guess you can say.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's what I really like about you guys, because everybody has their unique way. And that's why, as for inspiring artists, guys, if you are wanting to be an artist and you have that passion, don't don't go back. I mean, follow what you love, because one of the things I did, I took drawing in high school. I had a teacher that I didn't like. She discouraged me, but I had the imagination for it. I just didn't follow through. But
okay,
you know what I mean? And that's why I kind of want to do this, is because I want inspiring artists to hear everyone's story, because everyone doesn't always have their same path. Some people have to work, and if they get discouraged, don't let that stop you. Keep on going, um, because you never know what you're going to accomplish if you push yourself. And hearing other artists were, like you said, you first started off here working, as a colorist, and then working here. If we do what you love, you can, like right now, guys, if you don't know much about me, I love art. That is my bread and butter. Every time I go to a convention, I always look for art, but I like finding new artists and seeing new artists, and I buy their stuff at the table because they want, and every artist is different. Some artists, you know, their art is great, but into themselves, it doesn't.
Mm.
They don't think it's there. So sometimes they need that reassurance that hey, your art is awesome, but to them they don't see it, and they sometimes need that extra push. And like I said, I really love that you took the time to. And I reached out to you literally, I guess, the next day after they announced this in San Diego, and
Yeah.
I was so surprised that you responded so fast because I was like, "Holy crap!" You actually responded back, And I'm pretty sure you probably get messages from a lot of people, and I really appreciate you took the time to respond and coming on the show. Um, but when I saw that you were doing this story, a character that I like, and I like Harley Quinn, same thing. Before she became big, she was one of my favorite characters from the cartoon series.
Sure, sure. She's lovely. She's a crazy, lovely gal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then once she became popular, and that's why when I saw that they were doing this, and she's had her run for Spider-Gwen, but when I saw it was Melissa writing it, and then I saw that you were doing it, I was like, I was just mind blown. And it was so crazy. It was announced on the last day of San Diego. So that even was more, crazy for me because I was like, are you kidding me? They're doing a freaking Spidey Gwen. And I like the issues when they do the 4 to 5 issues because it's a whole story. So you're not gonna have to wait 12 months to find out what happens. You get to find out from beginning to end in the 4 issues. And
Yeah.
like you were saying, the first issue is gonna be 30 pages.
Yeah, I believe so. 30 pages. And then they are going to become regulars, 20 pages each. I do not know a lot of the upcoming story because we do not get like uh, um, I don't know how to say this, like the shorter version of a descriptive way to what's coming up.
Yeah.
We receive the script as a full like length text of 20 pages, but as I finished a number, so I do not know what's coming up,
Wow.
and so I know I'm in cahoots with Marvel to deliver the story, but I'm also a fan, which as I mentioned, I'm leading the story and I'm waiting to receive the new script.
Nice. Now, do you have a website where like fans can get commissions from you and buy some of your original art?
Sure, I'm having my Instagram and my Twitter account as a personal artist. I collaborate with 4C Comics.
Okay.
They visit a lot of conventions in the US, and you can
Nice.
get my commissions from either from them or you can write directly into my Instagram.
Oh, nice. That's definitely nice. Guys, if you want any of his art, I mean, like he showed earlier, this is his Kate Bishop piece. That is so cool. The background with the purplish. Um, and then here is this other one. The other one I really like, Miles Morales. That one is just beautiful. Um, and then, like I said, if you guys are looking to get commission work, I definitely recommend it, especially if you have a blank sketch cover. Or do you? Well, every artist is different. Do you like drawing on the blank sketch covers, or do you prefer to draw on actual paper? Because some artists don't like the way the sketch cover texture is.
Yeah, well, I do both. I try
You
to
do
give
both.
my best to both. Yeah, yeah, it's a challenge. Uh, the problem is that it's satin. The paper it's really smooth the
Yeah.
surface, so you can mostly do Copic markers and some type of alcohol based markers, which look really good. But if you are doing, for example, watercolors during a
Yeah.
convention, I would really ask a client to go give a round and come back in 2 hours until it's dried up. So yeah, I would like
Nice.
to like uh, expand on your comment to younger artists
Uh huh.
to differentiate make the differentiation into pin-up and cover artwork onto storytelling, which are really two different areas of expertise. So you would have to ask yourself, what do you what would you like to do? Interior art or cover artwork? Both are quite amazing, but they have different type of rules. So for example, what I do as an interior artist is that I studied storytelling
Nice.
to break up a script. um, you would have to use your five senses, and an extra thing that is information. In this case, there's a formality. For example, in music, there is tendencies and fashion into music. If you listen to 90s music, 2000 music, they every generation has a tendency, right? So the same in comic books. For example, in the 2000s, there was the search to break the panels, to step up the panel, to be everywhere, splattered outside. You could think a good example for this of Rob Liefeld or Jim Lee, for example. And then right now there's a zeitgeist, there's a like a nostalgia for the past
Yep.
that's running into the world right now.
Big time.
90s thing is it's a cool thing today. So going back to the past is something that we are looking for. I do not know why, but it's something that is happening in
Yeah.
a lot of entertainment. So in comics, there's a phenomenon that editors would suggest, for example, a classic panel layout. Where you would be like doing the characters into the square and do not try not to step out of the panels. So that's the tendency to formality into a classical or 90s paneling layout. So yeah, doing interior art comprises those two abilities: the knowledge to break a panel, to make it attractive, to know the tone of the character, and the formality to know what are you doing, how the panels are built, and how storytelling rules are applied into the page. You can look for a series of books, pretty famous author, and the book is called how to what is a comic book, how to draw comic books, and then how to reinvent comic books. That's a three-book series. I'm gonna try to look for the author. It always slips my mind, but it's quite fundamental to understand how the mechanisms of narrative, of visual narrative, work. Take the example of a musician. You can play a song, yeah. I can add something, yeah. Can you write music?
Yeah. That's true. You can copy music and everything like that, but can actually write it from the beginning. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that's so true. So one of the things that we, because we're Countdown City Geekcast, and it's we believe everybody has a geek side to them. What is your because you're doing comics and stuff like that? Do you have something you fall back on to relax? That like you mentioned, growing up, you watched the Turtles and stuff like that. Are you into that kind of stuff, Star Wars, or
Sure,
what
sure.
is your favorite or geek that you geek
I,
out?
I I have found recently these model kits which you ensemble and paint.
Oh, nice.
Uh, for example, I have my cane from RoboCop uh, 2,
Oh, wow.
RoboCane, which is a big model kit that I'm going to start to build soon. So yeah, I love Machine and Krieger, which is a Japanese based. Brand of model kits, and I often paint kits. That's my thing.
Nice.
When I'm not doing comics, I'm building and painting kits and kit bashing robots and painting them. So it's like the miniature painting, but applied to plastic model kits. I did a. Let me bring it to you so I can
Okay,
show it.
okay. That's pretty cool. Yeah, model kits nowadays, guys, are getting crazier than back in the day. The detail they're putting into them, articulation. Oh, nice. The Blade Runner. That's freaking cool. How
Yeah,
long did that take you to build?
I believe a week or so. Yeah,
Nice.
this type of vehicles are really nice.
and that's what I kind of mentioned now when you stepped away was that the articulation, and the detail they're putting into them is it's crazier now than before.
This one is a machine in Krieger.
Nice.
So it has a pilot, and I built the diorama of the base with mud and stone. So yeah, it's a delight to build these things.
That's freaking cool. So you
Thanks.
mentioned RoboCop. So you mentioned RoboCop. So I take it you're a
Yeah,
RoboCop fan?
I love all those type of things. I'm collecting right now the Mayfix series of Robocop and also Terminator. They're doing a new line of toys, so I'm collecting them all.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, I love those stories.
oh, that
Do
is so
you?
cool. Oh,
Did
dude,
you also?
RoboCop. Yeah, RoboCop is so cool. Like that's why they call me Retro because I like all these old movies like The Wraith, which Charlie Sheen came out in, and it's kind of like the sci-fi theme ish.
Sure.
You know, Terminator, of course. Who doesn't love Terminator? You know, RoboCop to me was my favorite. A lot of people didn't like the reboot. I thought it was
Uh-huh.
decent. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I just one of the things I wish they would have just kept the old suit. You know what I mean? And kind of just modified it a little bit. You know, more. The new suit was cool, but just something about that old original suit. You know,
Chunky
yeah,
legs, chunky arms. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something special to it.
yeah, exactly. And then of course you know Peter
It look
Dweller who
it,
played
it
Robo.
looks almost cheesy, right?
Yeah, I mean, going back and looking at it now, I was actually the funny thing is, I was off last Monday, and my wife was she was at work, and I was watching old school movies. I was watching RoboCop again, and no, CGA is great, but we got to interview some of the guys who worked on the makeup and stuff, and how they put the stuff together, and
Wow.
seeing the scene, you know, like when he gets shot up, it was just so crazy. And then looking at back at Ed 209, you can kind of see, of course, back then we're so mesmerized with the movie, we really don't pay attention to the background where it's kind of like you can know it's fake, but you know you're just so caught up in the movie. When I was watching it, I was like, oh man, I can't believe that. Man, you could tell it's
Yeah,
kind of
that's Phil Tippett, right?
yeah. Phil Tippett, like I said, he's on my bucket list of people to interview. Phil Tippett's oh man, his work is phenomenal.
Phenomenal. Have you seen Mad God already?
What's that?
Have you seen Mad God?
Yes, that one was good too, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like CGI. Don't get me wrong. I like CGI, but I just wish they could incorporate the two. You know what I mean? Like, still make like the big prop part, and then okay, and fill in the background maybe with CGI. But
Yeah.
for some
See,
reason, it
no,
just
nostalgia, right?
yeah,
See.
exactly, yeah, nostalgia, of course.
Mm.
And that's the thing too. Is like me, you know, art wise, you know, everybody, you know, the nostalgia of everything, you know, Ninja Turtles. I just saw Ninja Turtles literally like on Monday,
Oh,
and
nice.
it, I liked it a lot because one, of course, they're teens,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
um, just something about New York, you know. I live in San Antonio, Texas. Of course, we don't have the skyscrapers and all that fancy stuff, but I'm a New York Yankees fan. Um, so seeing them like in New York, and then the Turtles, you know, the way they presented them, the characters, the mutants. I think when you have a fan who's creating or working on the IP,
Hmm.
I think they not say cater, but they're giving you what they wanted to see that they didn't see in the movies prior. You know, and that's one thing I like about Melissa. The way she writes the comics is like she's filling in for Power Rangers what wasn't able to be put on TV. So she, you know, and
Nice.
so she's such a hardcore Power Ranger fan, which is so cool. And Dan Slott, same thing, huge Spider-Man fan, huge Doctor Who fan. He's got an issue coming out. It's a one shot. I think it's coming out in October of this year, and he actually got to write that one series. Um, those writers, oh God, man, I just between the writers and the artists, and that's the thing too. Like some of the comics, they depending like Cullen Bunn. I interviewed Cullen, and he's done the one. He's the one that does like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Mhm.
Right now, he just finished. He just did this one where uh,
All right.
the
That of the Venom virus.
yeah, he just did this one. But his writing, he's a we got to interview him too, and his he loves Godzilla. He loves horror. So it's like I asked him, I was like, how is it to be in your head? He's like, you wouldn't want to be in my head, because him constantly thinking of stuff to write. I mean, he's like writing different stories that like he had like two comics come out in a week apart from each other from two different series, one from Boom and one from Marvel. I don't know how he does what he does, and that's what I'm saying. Like you guys to be able to work the way you guys work and putting it out. So you're basically saying you do a page a day.
Yeah, pretty much. I work from 9 a.m. that I wake up. Maybe I'm sitting myself in the desk at 10 a.m. and then I stay into 2 a.m. So
Whoa.
from 10 a.m. until 2 a.m. I have a break to eat and walk the dogs. But that's the thing. I have celebrated my birthday. I have passed Christmas Eve and I have passed a lot of celebrations, my parents' birthdays, working, and I really feel this word that comes from religion. That I'm not giving it a religious aspect to it, but it's pretty amazing, which is devotion.
Yeah.
Something that you do not only with passion, but it's a sense of understanding yourself into the world. That's something that gives you the knowledge of who you are and what are you doing here. So that's what happened. I really don't feel well when I do not draw. That it's beyond an activity. It's beyond a job. It's something that I do. Just I do. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It past. I'm way beyond the know that I will have to draw or I will have to work or I will have to. No, it's just on my blood. Maybe these writers are generating those type of knowledge and they are really connected to give birth to a universe. It's something astounding, something amazing. It's not just a fictional thing. I really believe this is um, as I talked with my friend Paco Medina, a work of the soul. Because if you are not devotional of this, if you don't give yourself to it, it's not going to happen at all. You have to be there and enjoy and live through these characters as well. But that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's one thing, like I said, when you mentioned Ramos, and this is where I told you where I like working with comic book artists, and I I'm trying to find the page. So we did a variant cover because we had a convention here in San Antonio called Alamo City Comic Con. So
Nice.
we're doing an exclusive for the convention, and this was, mind you, this was pre Punisher, uh, pre Infinity War. Like it was kind of like right before they were kind of teasing Infinity War. So I was like, huh, I think this would be a cool cover idea. So I told my boss, and my boss pitched it to Marvel for the exclusive cover, and I'm trying to find it. And they ended up doing it, and then Ramos is the one that did the cover. And it came out. I was like, wow. I can't find it. Where the hell did it go? I can't find it.
He's such a good artist.
Oh yeah. And that's why kind of like I was like, and when I saw that you were doing like stuff for Forbidden Planet, you've done variant covers and stuff like that. So which one do you like doing more, the variant covers or the interior?
I haven't been assigned into a lot of covers. I believe you have to have a some time in the industry to sell like a lot of famous artists. So through my 3 years, I have only done a cover for Hawkeye, which was a 125. for the stores, and then I made a reptile cover, but I haven't done much of them. I did a bunch for Titan Comics, but so far I believe with time I will have more perspective when I have the balance to do maybe like a bunch of covers to do through the month while I do my regular books, so that I will have the perspective to decide which one is better. Right now I'm fascinated with the characters, so for example I would love to do some Spider-Verse covers, for example. That would be awesome. Yeah, fantastic. I love Venom, so yeah, that would be
Nice.
cool.
So I finally found the piece. So here's the piece. So it's basically Deadpool versus Thanos. So I have the Punisher and a taco truck serving tacos.
Chimichangas.
Yeah, and then Deadpool's trying to steal the glove from Thanos.
That's so funny. That's so nice.
Yeah, so that's the cover that we pitched, and when I almost put it together, I was like, that's pretty much what I had in my head, and was able to put it on paper, and I was like, wow, that came out freaking crazy. That's why I said you guys. I can't. And that's the thing too. Everyone is given a gift, and stuff comes natural. There's some people that can learn it and be taught, but when you put the two together, you're unstoppable because you're just building on what you something you've got as a gift for. Like Kobe Bryant, and like he had the love for basketball. He pushed himself. You know, each person has that love and drive. That's what really gives them that push. And
Yeah,
that's why I see you have a lot of.
there's a concept called transducer, which is a device that receives a signal and then operates. For example, a remote control is a transducer. So I believe the brain is something like that. Is something that catches upon the things that the writer and the public wants to see, and then it actually like finds that image in a catalog that it's up there. I don't know what it is, but it
Yeah,
pulls it, it engages into it, and builds around it. It's a lot of work to do those cover artworks, but they are really fun, and the pages are even more work, but more fun as well, because you can expand your universe. I'm always thinking on the comic book universes, whichever they are, whichever the company. There is like a long line of people, and they are all holding something that it's really heavy, and then someone gets tired and it's falling down, and then comes another one and steps into its way into the other person, and lifts that thing. So it's something built with a lot of minds, with a lot of hearts, and a lot of people giving their time to sustain these wonderful universes. That's what I think about it. I love to see that image of people, and I'm always thinking about another, because it's not just the artist, it's not just the writer. There's a lot of people involved into the comic book industry,
yeah,
as person who collect or treasure their comic books, their stories, their characters. So yeah, it's a lot of people sustaining and holding those universes, which is a powerful thing.
yeah. It is definitely. I mean, well, you're taking on a big character that a lot of fans are gonna like, and if I tell you guys right now, it comes out in December. You're gonna want to pre-order a copy now so that you don't miss out. Um, and then we'll put the links below as well. So if you want to get a commission piece from him, you can reach out to him and get a commission piece. Are there any shows in the U.S. that you're going to be attending this year?
Well, I was on Pennsylvania's Fan Expo on Philadelphia, and now I'm going to Toronto. I'm gonna be at the end of August. I'm gonna be on Fan Expo Canada, and maybe next year I will try to visit other towns, because this was my first year I was I reached to Fan Expo, and Kevin Boyd, the organizer, was kind enough to invite me as a guest. So maybe if I'm lucky, I will be attending more conventions in the US. People are super generous with me, even though I'm an upcoming or fresh young artist. There's a lot of people that see the characters they love in my style, in my work. So yeah, I'm pretty thankful and happy to attend next year to other conventions. I wasn't accepted to New York Comic Con this year as I was last, but maybe next year I will be more. I will have more luck to be selected, and that would be nice to enjoy
Nice.
New York Comic Con again.
So how was it when? So what was the first big con you got to go to in the states? Because I know
New York,
they got you
yeah,
got Lamo. Lamo supposedly they that's pretty much a San Diego in itself, right? Lamo con.
yeah, it's quite big. Yeah, there's fewer comic book artists. We are really a pretty small scene of artists, and not that big as US. Pretty strong and steady industry based artists. On the contrary, there's fewer here, but it's a big convention. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one. That's a bucket list for me to go to. I haven't been to New York. I've been to Chicago. I've been to Emerald City. I've been to San Diego, and of course all the ones here in San Antonio or in Texas. Um, but New York is my bucket list to go to. But so when you went for your first convention, were you kind of like overtaken with everything?
For sure, and coming from a rural upbringing, even more because I wasn't. It was my first time in New York, so my wife and I we were taken away by the. It's a lot of beauty, and as well has a contrast into the crudeness of the reality of the streets there. So yeah, it somewhat of an image to to comprehend.
To take in.
So yeah, it is indeed. I would love to go to Fan Expo Dallas. I believe there's one
Yeah.
next year as well. My both my sisters are Texans, so I
Oh,
would really
nice.
like to pay a visit to them maybe as
Well, if you
well.
do, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to meet you in person, man, because we just went to the Dallas one, and we got to cover it for Countdown to the Geekcast.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I would definitely love to meet you. Like right now, so Color Barberry did a piece because he did Deadpool,
Hmm.
and I was at a I was at a HEB here in San Antonio, and I found
What's an HGB?
it's like a grocery store chain.
Okay.
It's like a big chain here in Texas,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so I found this little Hot Wheel, and it had Carlos art on the back. So as
Wow.
soon as yeah, so I saw it, I sent it, I took a picture, I sent it to him, and he's like, I haven't seen that one, and I was like, you want me to get it for you? And he's like, if you don't mind. So I picked it up, and so tomorrow for work, I got to drive down to McAllen, Texas, and there's a comic book shop there. He said, if you could just ship it there. He goes, next time I'm at that store, because he lives in Mexico too, and
Hmm.
he said I'll pick it up. So tomorrow I'm actually gonna take it down there, drive it down there on my lunch break, drop it off, so that he could pick it up the next time he comes into the states.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah, like I said, guys, you help us take our minds off of the stuff we deal with in the real world every day. Yeah, I mean, like I look forward to coming home after having a rough week or whatever, and going into the comics and reading it, take my mind away from reality. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah,
what
for
comics
sure,
really does for people,
for
especially with
sure.
movies and stuff like that. So, like I said, you guys are doing awesome work. I'm looking forward to seeing you, do the Spider-Gwen and also some other pieces. Um, and I really thank you for taking the time to come on the show. Hopefully we can have you back later once the comic releases and we can talk more about how was it drawing certain pages, since of course you can't really say much and stuff like that right now. I would, like I said, wasn't expecting you to respond this quick.
Oh,
So
I really, yeah, I really love podcasts because there are, I mean, there's a lot of people that do not know how the comics are done. They
yeah,
have they have an idea and they have a sense understanding that they come to the stores every month, but they do not know, for example, how many books are done in advance. So the editors have a wiggle room to maybe, if you fail, call upon another artist team. So there's a lot of things from the inside that are really interesting, and they abound or expand the knowledge of how things are done, and it's really interesting. For example, regarding pages, sometimes I have a small presentation, a briefly presentation, where I'll send you a couple of images about the composition of the page. Because, for example, I use a grid,
Uh-huh.
a compositional grid, and try to place the characters in the drawing using narrative from up to down, and then left to right, so the characters has an introductory area, or an entering into the page, then follows a line, and then exits to the next page, because that's something you would want the reader to quickly assess what's happening, and then quickly move to the next page. So
Nice.
there's
Okay, so
a yeah, there's something building, not only the drawings, but there's something beneath the drawings that is helping me put these pages together. It's not the drawings itself by themselves, but something that aids into the formality of the page. You do not see it, you experience it. You see the image and you read it, but you do not know how the panels were placed.
yeah, I got you. Okay. So one last question before we go. We won't take
Sure.
any more time up. Let's go jump in a couple of years in the future. Let's say you're there already and you have a choice of an IP. It doesn't have to be Marvel, doesn't have to be DC. If they were doing a RoboCop comic, if they were doing for Dark Horse or Boom, which IP would you want to draw?
I would really go for my earlier answer. I'm not repeating it, but I would really think that the most precious thing in my life is to wake up every day and be seated at my place and work in peace on my comic books. And I would really enjoy whichever thing comes to my desk. I do not know my future, or what life will bring, but as right now, I'm fulfilled and grateful. So
Nice.
I do not expect anything, but whatever comes into the game, it will make me the most happiest kid artist in the world.
Nice. Okay. Nice. Well, awesome. And that's just a quick, not even, what, 50 minutes? Wow. That's, see, I
Just
don't know how
like a
you could do that,
bag.
man, just so quick. You could just do
Well,
that so quick.
nice.
Well, like I said, we're gonna post everything. So once this comes out, it gets edited. We're gonna have your contacts on the bottom of this, for YouTube. So if you want to get a commission, you could just click on the links, um, hit him up, follow him, uh, pick up a commission. Like I said, I'm gonna have to add you to my collection of artists I have. I buy pages, so I have one from Barberry for Deadpool. I have one from Cat Skaggs from Smallville. So I have collections from characters that I like.
Nice.
So I'm gonna definitely have to get a page, 11 by 17 page from you,
Yeah, that
um,
would be an honor.
and add it to my collection. But like I said, thank you for taking the time to come on the show. Countdown to the Geekcast. This is Retro Ray, and thanks to Balam for.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're thank you, man. You graced us. So guys, take it easy, like and subscribe. We'll catch you later.